"Don't look, I'm ashamed," she sobbed. The rancher reached and discovered the truth. Wild West. Cole Wyatt rode through the Redstone Plains with the calm confidence of a man who had spent his whole life in the frontier. His mechanical horse clanked softly over the red, rocky ground, its joints hissing as it moved. The twin moons hung low in the sky, casting long shadows over the canyons, while faint streaks of neon light flickered from the horizon. This was a land where the old world met the new. Dusty towns and wooden fences stood alongside advanced machinery and glowing communication towers. It was dangerous, but it was home. Cole's ranch was miles away, hidden behind a ridge of jagged rocks. He had come out early that morning to check his livestock and repair a water distillation tower near the canyon's edge. The plains were quiet. Too quiet, and he had learned long ago that silence in Redstone Plains often meant trouble. His hand rested on the grip of his plasma revolver, ready for whatever might come his way. As he navigated a narrow path between glowing cacti, a faint sound reached him over the wind. At first he thought it was just the hum of the desert machines, but the sound repeated, soft, almost human, and full of fear. Cole slowed his horse, listening closely. It was a cry. A sob. He followed it, moving carefully over the uneven rocks. There, partially hidden behind a broken-down hover wagon, he saw her. A young woman crouched on the ground, her arms wrapped around herself. Her suit was singed and torn in places, and her eyes were wide with terror. "Don't look. I'm ashamed," she sobbed, her voice trembling. Cole dismounted slowly, raising his hand slightly in a gesture of peace. He could see she was frightened, and there was no sign of a weapon. "Hey," he said softly. "I'm not here to hurt you. You're safe. For now." The woman shook her head, her hair falling in messy strands over her face. She seemed too afraid to speak, too scared to trust anyone. But Cole had a reputation for knowing when someone was telling the truth, and something in her eyes told him she was not lying. He took a cautious step closer. "I can help," he said. "You don't have to stay out here alone." For a long moment she didn't respond. The wind whistled through the canyon, stirring up dust and small stones. Then, almost reluctantly, she nodded. Cole held out his hand, and after a pause, she took it. "Name's Lila," she whispered. "I don't know where to go." Cole nodded. "Cole Wyatt, you're coming with me. I've got a ranch not far from here. You can rest there, and we'll figure out the next move." The ride to Cole's ranch was tense. Lila clung to him, shivering despite the warmth of her suit. Occasionally, her gaze flicked nervously to the horizon, where the wind carried faint glimmers of light. Machines, perhaps. Patrols. Something was following her, and Cole could sense it. He had been on the plains long enough to know danger when it approached. By the time they reached the ranch, the sun was beginning to rise, painting the sky in shades of red and orange. The ranch itself was a strange mix of old and new. Wooden fences surrounded the land, and barns made of reinforced timber housed his livestock. At the same time, solar panels and fusion-powered generators hummed quietly, powering communication towers and defensive systems. It was a safe haven, and Cole trusted it to protect them both. Inside, Cole helped Lila remove the damaged parts of her suit. Burn marks marred the fabric, and small cuts ran along her arms and legs. He handed her a clean blanket and water, which she accepted with shaking hands. "You've been through a lot," Cole said gently. "I can fix the suit later. For now, you need to rest." Lila avoided his gaze, her fingers tracing the edge of the blanket. "It's not just the suit," she whispered. I wasn't supposed to be here. I saw things I shouldn't have." "What kind of things?" She hesitated, swallowing hard. They were experiments on this planet. People, machines, creatures. I didn't agree to it. Cole listened carefully. The plains had always been dangerous, but this sounded like something far worse. "You're not in trouble here," he said. "I'll keep you safe. But you have to tell me the truth. Everything." Her lips trembled as she finally spoke. I was part of a research station experiment. They wanted to create soldiers, half human, half machine. Guardians for the frontier. I refused to take part in the last phase, so I ran. They sent drones to find me." Cole nodded slowly, piecing together what she said. It explained the burns, the fear, and the urgency in her eyes. "Those drones are still out there," he said. "We need to stay alert." For the next few hours, Cole showed her around the ranch. He explained the security systems, the defensive turrets, and the mechanical horses he used to patrol the land. Lila watched with wide eyes, curiosity momentarily replacing fear. She had spent her life under strict orders, and this freedom, dangerous as it was, felt strange but exhilarating. As night fell, the twin moons reflected off the canyon walls, casting eerie shadows across the ranch. Cole and Lila sat outside, the warmth of a small fire between them. The wind carried distant sounds, low hums and metallic clanks that reminded them both that the plains were alive and watching. "I'm scared," Lila admitted, her voice barely above a whisper. "But thank you for helping me." "Everyone's scared out here, Lila. The trick is to keep moving, keep thinking, and never give up. You survived until now, didn't you?" She managed a small, tentative smile. "Yes, but I don't know if I can keep surviving." "You can," Cole said firmly. "I've faced worse than machines and experiments. The plains will test you, but you'll learn. And you won't be alone." They sat in silence for a while, listening to the wind and the distant hum of the frontier. Lila's thoughts wandered to the data she carried in her mind, a record of the experiments, enough to expose the corruption and prevent the creation of dangerous soldiers. She hadn't shared it yet, fearing what would happen if the wrong people found out. Cole noticed her unease. "You're holding back," he said gently. "Whatever it is, you can tell me. I've got your back." "I don't even know if I should tell anyone," she admitted. "It's dangerous. And I don't know if I can trust anyone." Cole's gaze softened. "Then start with me. I'll earn your trust, and we'll take it one step at a time. You're not alone anymore." For the first time since she had fled the research station, Lila felt a spark of hope. She had been running, hiding, and fearing every shadow for what felt like an eternity. Here, with the canyon walls and the twin moons watching over them, she could breathe. But the plains were never quiet for long. In the distance, a flicker of movement caught Cole's eye. A shadow flitted across the horizon, fast, metallic, and deliberate. Drones. They were tracking her. The realization sent a shiver down both their spines. Cole stood, placing a protective hand on Lila's shoulder. "Get inside. Lock the doors. I'll handle this." She nodded, following his instructions. Inside, she watched as he moved with precision, checking the sensors, adjusting the turrets, and preparing for the inevitable encounter. The ranch, though fortified, was vulnerable to the high-tech predators that roamed Redstone Plains. Cole knew it would be a fight, but he was ready. As the night deepened, the shadows grew longer, and the wind carried the faint hum of machines closing in. Lila huddled under a blanket, her mind racing with fear and uncertainty. Yet, for the first time, she wasn't running alone. Cole returned to her side. "We'll face whatever comes," he said quietly. "Together." And as the plains stretched endlessly under the twin moons, Cole, Wyatt, and Lila realized that their meeting was no accident. The frontier had brought them together for a reason, and their journey had only just begun. The first light of dawn crept over the jagged horizon of Redstone Plains, painting the sky in soft shades of orange and purple. Cole Wyatt had spent the night checking every corner of his ranch, ensuring that all the turrets and sensors were active. The mechanical horses in the stables whinnied softly as he passed, their joints hissing and whirring. He could not let his guard down, not even for a moment. Lila, still shivering from the previous night, was finally resting in a small bunk in the main house. Cole brewed a strong cup of synth coffee and took a seat by the window, staring out over the vast expanse of the plains. The land was beautiful in its harsh way, jagged red rocks, glowing cacti, and the distant neon glimmers of old mining equipment left behind by settlers. But beauty, Cole knew, was often the mask for danger. The drones that had been searching for Lila were still out there, and they were relentless. He could hear her stirring inside. Lila emerged from the bunk, her hair messy and her eyes tired but alert. She had managed to clean herself as best she could, though her suit was still scorched and torn. "I can't believe I'm alive," she whispered, almost to herself. "I've been running for so long, and I thought they would catch me today." "You're stronger than you think," he said. "You survived everything that came at you, and you made it here. That takes courage." She hesitated, then spoke slowly. I don't even know where to start. The station, what they were doing there, it's horrible." Cole nodded. "Start wherever you can. I'll listen, and I'll help you figure this out. No judgment. No rushing, just the truth." She took a deep breath and began to explain. The research station had been located in a canyon not far from the plains. It looked ordinary from the outside, blending with the rocky landscape, but inside, it was a place of strict rules and high-tech machines. Scientists and soldiers worked together to create hybrid beings, part human, part machine, intended to be perfect guardians of the frontier. Lila had been assigned as a technician, tasked with monitoring their development. I didn't want to be part of it, she said, her voice shaking. I saw what they were doing, experimenting on people, creatures, combining them with machines. It was cruel. And then they wanted me to help with the next phase. I couldn't. I ran. You're lucky you made it this far. They send drones to catch anyone who leaves the station. Yes, she whispered, and they'll come again. I didn't know where to go. I only wanted to survive. Cole placed a reassuring hand on her shoulder. Then you came to the right place. We'll make sure you stay safe while we figure out the next step. For the rest of the morning, Cole and Lila prepared the ranch. They reinforced the fences, checked the energy shields, and tested the mechanical turrets. Lila, though inexperienced with frontier combat, had a sharp mind for machines and quickly understood how to operate the systems. She worked with focus, her fear giving way to determination. By midday, the sun hung high in the sky, casting long shadows across the plains. Cole noticed movement in the distance, a flicker of light near the horizon. He squinted through his binoculars. A patrol of drones was scanning the land, their sensors sweeping methodically. They found you, he said quietly, and they're not going to stop until they have you. Lila swallowed hard, but she didn't look away. Then we fight, she said, her voice firm. I can't go back. I won't. Cole nodded, impressed. She had the spirit of a survivor. Good, he said. Then we'll do it together. As the drones drew closer, Cole explained a plan. The ranch was fortified, but they couldn't stay put forever. They needed to keep moving, to use the terrain to their advantage. The glowing cacti, the jagged rocks, and the abandoned mining equipment could all be used to hide and ambush. Lila listened carefully, absorbing every detail. She had spent her life following orders, but now she was learning to think for herself. She realized that survival was not just about running. It was about strategy, courage, and trust. And for the first time, she had someone to trust. The first drone reached the ranch by late afternoon. It hovered silently, scanning the perimeter with a bright blue light. Cole activated the turrets, which emitted a soft hum before firing non-lethal energy pulses. Sparks flew as the drone dodged, trying to avoid the beams, but it was fast and agile. Lila operated the control panel, redirecting power to the turrets and activating the automated defenses. The drone shrieked as its sensors were overloaded, forcing it to retreat. But Cole knew it was only the beginning. They'll come back, he said, wiping sweat from his brow. And next time, there will be more of them. Lila nodded, her jaw set. Then we prepare. I know how to disrupt their signals. I just need time. Then let's buy that time. Over the next few hours, they worked tirelessly, setting up traps, reinforcing the ranch, and mapping out escape routes. Lila revealed a small energy device she had smuggled from the station. It could emit a pulse strong enough to disable the drones temporarily. It was risky, but it might be their only chance if they were overwhelmed. As night fell again, the plains became a landscape of shadows and whispers. The twin moons reflected off the canyon walls, creating an eerie glow. Cole and Lila stood on a ridge, surveying the land. In the distance, tiny lights flickered, drones approaching, searching for the girl who had escaped their control. You're brave, Cole said quietly. Most people would have frozen in fear. I have to be, Lila replied. I can't run anymore. Not like this, Cole nodded, placing a hand on her shoulder. Because we're not just running, we're fighting back. And the first step is surviving tonight. The drones arrived sooner than expected. They moved with mechanical precision, their sensors sweeping across the land. Cole and Lila took their positions. Lila activated her device, sending a pulse that caused the closest drones to falter. Sparks flew, and a few drones crashed into the rocks. Cole rode his mechanical horse into action, firing precise shots with his plasma revolvers. The drones adapted quickly, but Cole's experience and Lila's ingenuity kept them at bay. Together they moved like a single unit, using the terrain to hide, ambush, and escape. After hours of tense confrontation, the drones finally retreated, but not without leaving a warning. They had recorded the location of the ranch and would return with reinforcements. Cole and Lila knew this was only the beginning. Exhausted but alive, they returned to the ranch. Lila sank into a chair, her hands shaking. I didn't think I could do it, she admitted. You did, Cole said firmly. And you'll do it again if you have to. The plains are harsh, but you're stronger than you know. For a moment they sat in silence, listening to the wind and the distant hum of the frontier. Lila's mind raced with thoughts of the station, the experiments, and the data she carried. She knew that the drones would not give up easily, and that the people behind the experiments were powerful and ruthless. But for the first time, she did not feel entirely alone. Cole had proven that he was not just a rancher. He was a protector, a guide, and a friend. And together, they had survived the first attack. As the twin moons rose high in the sky, Lila looked out over the plains. The land was vast and dangerous, but it was also full of possibilities. She had escaped the station, survived the drones, and found a place where she could breathe. Cole stood beside her, his eyes scanning the horizon. "We'll need to move soon," he said. "They'll be back, and next time we might not have the advantage." "I'm ready," Lila said, determination shining in her eyes. "I won't run anymore. I'll fight, and I'll survive." Cole smiled faintly. "Good, because surviving is only the first step. The truth needs to be protected, and we'll make sure it stays safe." And as the plains stretched endlessly beneath the twin moons, Cole, Wyatt, and Lila understood that their journey had only just begun. The frontier was vast, dangerous, and full of secrets, but together they were stronger than anything the Redstone Plains could throw at them. The sun barely peeked over the jagged horizon when Cole, Wyatt, and Lila prepared to leave the ranch. The previous night had been a small victory, but Cole knew it would not last. The drones that had attacked were only the first wave. Whoever had sent them would not give up until they retrieved Lila and the data she carried. Cole checked the mechanical horse one last time, ensuring its power cells were charged and its joints oiled. Lila adjusted her suit, fastening the straps and making sure her small energy device was secure. The plains stretched endlessly before them, dangerous and wild, but there was no choice. They needed to move. As they rode, Cole explained the plan. "We'll take the canyon route," he said, pointing toward a narrow, winding path between jagged cliffs. "It's harder to navigate, but drones won't move as fast here. We can set traps, slow them down, and use the terrain to our advantage." Lila nodded, her eyes scanning the horizon. "I can help with the traps. I know how to disrupt their sensors. It won't last forever, but it will buy us time." "Good. Time is what we need." Sharp rocks jutted out at odd angles, and the path was barely wide enough for one mechanical horse. Sparks flew as Cole maneuvered the machine through the narrow passages. The glow from the twin moons reflected off the red rocks, creating strange shadows that danced across the canyon walls. Suddenly, Lila pointed ahead. "Drones," she whispered. A small group of metallic shapes hovered above the canyon floor, scanning with bright blue lights. They had tracked them faster than Cole expected. Cole's hand went to his plasma revolvers. "Stay low," he said. "We'll use the canyon walls for cover. Don't show yourself until I say." The drones descended cautiously, their sensors sweeping across the canyon. Cole Lila crouched behind a rock formation. Cole whispered instructions. "When I give the signal, hit your device. It will scramble their sensors for a few minutes. Then we move fast." Lila nodded, her fingers tight around the energy device. Her heart pounded, but she had trained her mind to focus. She was not the same terrified girl from the night before. She was a survivor. Cole waited until the drones were close, then fired a shot from his revolver, not to destroy, but to distract. The lead drone shifted its attention. Lila pressed the button on her device. A wave of energy pulsed outward, causing the drones' lights to flicker and their movements to falter. Sparks flew, and a few of the machines crashed into canyon walls. "Move!" Cole shouted. They rode their mechanical horses as fast as the terrain would allow, weaving between jagged rocks and leaping over small chasms. The drones regained stability and gave chase, but the canyon's narrow paths slowed them. As they rode, Cole noticed something strange. One of the drones was different. Sleeker, faster, almost humanoid in shape. It moved with a precision that suggested it was not just a machine. It was something more. "That one," Cole said, pointing. "It's hunting you, specifically." Lila's face paled. That's from the station. It's one of their enforcers, half human, half machine. They must have sent it after me." Cole's jaw tightened. "Then we'll deal with it." The chase continued for hours. The canyon twisted and turned, and the drones adapted to their movements. Lila's device continued to pulse, but its energy was limited. They needed to find a safe place to rest before it ran out. Finally, they reached an abandoned mining outpost perched on a cliff. The building was old and partially collapsed, but it offered cover. Cole led Lila inside, checking for structural weaknesses and setting up makeshift barricades. The drones hovered outside, unable to reach them directly. Inside, Lila slumped against a wall, exhausted. I can't keep running like this, she admitted. I need a plan. Cole nodded, understanding her fear. Running is only temporary. We need a plan to fight back, to keep you safe, and to protect the information you have. First, we rest. Then we figure out the next move. While Lila rested, Cole examined her energy device. This can buy us time, he said, but we'll need more than that. We need a way to disable the drones completely or make them turn back. Lila's eyes lit up with an idea. The drones communicate with each other through a signal network. If we can locate their main relay, we can disrupt them permanently, at least for a while. Cole's eyes narrowed. Then that's our next step. But first, we survive the night. Night fell over the canyon, and the wind carried a chill through the outpost. The hum of the drones outside reminded them both that danger was never far away. Cole and Lila took turns keeping watch, listening for any unusual sounds. Every small noise, every flicker of light set their nerves on edge. Hours passed slowly. Lila studied the device, tracing the circuits and mapping out how it interacted with the drone's signals. Cole monitored the canyon outside, scanning for movement. The moonlight glinted off the metallic bodies of the drones, making them appear almost alive. Suddenly, the sleek humanoid enforcer appeared at the entrance of the outpost, its eyes glowing red. It moved with deliberate precision, analyzing the building for weaknesses. Cole tensed. Lila, get ready, he whispered. We may have to confront it directly. Lila activated her device, sending a pulse toward the enforcer. It staggered slightly, but its systems adapted quickly. The enforcer advanced, moving around the barricades with unnatural agility. Cole mounted his mechanical horse, plasma revolvers ready. Stay behind me, he instructed. The enforcer lunged forward, fast and precise. Cole fired, each shot forcing it to dodge and retreat temporarily. Lila's device continued to disrupt its sensors, but she realized it wouldn't last much longer. Thinking quickly, Cole led the enforcer into a narrow passage of the outpost. The machine's size and speed were its advantage, but the tight space worked against it. Cole fired out a support beam, causing it to collapse partially. Rocks and debris blocked the passage, trapping the enforcer temporarily. Breathing heavily, Cole turned to Lila. That's your chance. We need to move now, while it's stuck.
They mounted their horses and raced out of the canyon.
The enforcer struggled to free itself, and the other drones hesitated at the edge, unsure whether to advance. The canyon's narrow paths and jagged rocks slowed their pursuers, giving Cole and Lila the advantage. As dawn approached, they reached a wider plain. The plain stretched endlessly before them, dotted with strange glowing plants and abandoned settlements. It was beautiful, but still dangerous. Cole guided them toward a ridge overlooking the horizon. From there, they could plan their next move and rest safely. Lila looked at the device in her hand. It's not much, but it helped, she said quietly. You helped too, Cole replied. You kept your mind sharp, made quick decisions, and never froze. That's what kept us alive. For the first time since she had fled the research station, Lila felt a sense of accomplishment. She had faced drones, a humanoid enforcer, and the dangers of the plains, and she had survived. But the journey was far from over. The data she carried, the truth she had witnessed, still made her a target. Cole gazed at the horizon. We'll rest here for a while, he said. Then we move toward the relay station. That's our next step. If we can disrupt their signal, we can level the playing field. Lila nodded, determination in her eyes. I'm ready, she said. I won't run anymore. We fight. Cole smiled faintly. Good. Because surviving is just the first step. Out here, in the Redstone Plains, fighting is how you protect what matters. As the twin moons rose again over the plains, Cole and Lila prepared for the next phase of their journey. The canyon had tested them, the drones had hunted them, and the humanoid enforcer had nearly caught them. But together, they had survived. And together, they would face whatever came next. The frontier was vast, dangerous, and full of secrets, but for the first time, Lila felt that she had a chance to take control of her fate. And Cole, the seasoned rancher, knew that the girl he had saved was no longer just a survivor. She was a fighter. The plains stretched endlessly beneath the twin moons, a land of opportunity, danger, and unknown challenges. And Cole, Wyatt, and Lila understood that the journey ahead would require courage, trust, and ingenuity. But for now, they had each other, and that was enough to face the unknown. The plains stretched endlessly before Cole Wyatt and Lila, bathed in the soft glow of the twin moons. They had survived the canyon chase and the ambush by the drones. For a moment it felt as though the frontier had given them a brief reprieve. But Cole knew better. Danger was never far in Redstone Plains, and Lila's pursuers would return with greater force. They had reached an old communication relay station perched on a rocky ridge. It had been abandoned for years, but Cole remembered its schematics from maps passed down by settlers. The station was crucial. If they could use it to disrupt the drone's signal network, Lila could buy herself time and prevent the station authorities from tracking her location. "We're close," Cole said, scanning the perimeter. "But we can't rush. If the drones find us here, it could be the end." Lila adjusted the energy device she had carried since escaping the research station. "I've been studying the drone's signal patterns," she said. "If we connect this to the relay, I can send a pulse that scrambles all the patrols across the plains. For a few hours at least, it's our best chance." Then we make it count. The relay station was a labyrinth of metal corridors, rusted pipes, and broken machinery. The main control room had been sealed, but with Cole's strength and mechanical knowledge, they pried open the heavy door. Inside, the room smelled of dust and old circuits. Panels blinked faintly, powered by leftover energy cells. It was perfect. Lila set to work immediately, connecting her device to the relay station's main console. Sparks flew, and the humming of machinery filled the room. Cole stood guard, peering through reinforced windows, his revolvers at the ready. The plains below seemed quiet, but Cole knew it was a calm that could vanish in an instant. "I'm almost ready," Lila whispered, her fingers flying over the controls. "Just a few more adjustments." "Don't rush. Accuracy matters more than speed." Outside, the faint hum of drones could be heard. Their search patterns had adapted, and Cole knew reinforcements were approaching. Lila's hands trembled slightly, but her determination never wavered. Finally, she looked up. "It's done. I'm sending the pulse." A wave of energy shot out from the relay station, spreading across the plains. Drones twitched, their sensors flickered, and many crashed or spun out of control. Even the humanoid enforcer, sleek and deadly, faltered momentarily. For the first time since escaping the station, Lila felt a measure of relief. Cole grinned. "That should buy us some time. But don't celebrate yet. We still have to get back to the ranch safely." As they prepared to leave, a deep rumble shook the ground. The humanoid enforcer had regained its balance, and several new drones appeared on the horizon. They were larger, stronger, and faster than the ones they had faced before. Cole realized the research station would not give up easily. "We need a plan," he said, scanning the terrain. "We can't outrun all of them across the plains. But we can use the canyon paths and the old mining ruins to our advantage." Lila nodded. "I can guide us through a path they won't expect, but we'll need every trick we've learned." With that, they mounted their mechanical horses and rode into the plains. The drones pursued, their lights cutting through the darkness. Cole led the way, weaving between jagged rocks and abandoned machinery. Lila used her device intermittently, creating bursts of interference that forced the drones to hesitate. The chase was tense. Sparks flew from collisions, and the hum of mechanical wings filled the air. Cole fired with precision, aiming at drone joints and sensors to slow them down without destroying them entirely. Lila guided them through hidden paths, tunnels beneath old mining settlements, and narrow ridges that only a human could navigate easily. Finally, they reached a wide-open area near the edge of Redstone Plains. It was flat, with scattered boulders and the remnants of old settlements. Cole realized they needed a final stand. The humanoid enforcer and the new drones were closing in. "Here," he said, pointing to a natural formation of rocks. "We can set a trap. Lila, your device. Use it to draw them in." Lila activated the pulse again, creating a field of interference that forced the drones to follow a narrow path. Cole prepared the turrets hidden among the rocks, setting them to fire in rapid bursts. The first wave of drones moved into the trap, their movements hampered by the interference. Sparks flew as the turrets fired, knocking several drones off balance. The humanoid enforcer advanced cautiously, but Cole had anticipated this. Using a combination of the mechanical terrain traps and precise shots, they slowed it down. Lila focused on her device, sending short pulses to confuse the enforcer's sensors. It hesitated, giving Cole the opening he needed. With a final shot from his revolver, he struck a weak joint in its leg. The enforcer toppled, caught in the rocks and energy pulses, temporarily disabled. For the first time in weeks, Cole and Lila allowed themselves a brief moment of relief. The immediate threat was neutralized. "We did it," Lila whispered, breathless. They can't reach me now. Not for a while. But we still have to make sure the truth gets out. That's why you came here. Lila reached into her suit and pulled out a small crystal, the data she had stolen from the research station. It contained the records of the experiments, the plans for the hybrid enforcers, and proof of the corruption at the station. We need to broadcast this, Lila said. Everyone needs to know what's happening. The settlers, the frontier towns, even the authorities who aren't corrupt. If we hide it, nothing will change. Cole agreed. Then we find a secure transmission tower, we broadcast the data, and we make sure the frontier knows the truth. They rode through the plains until they reached an old communication hub, abandoned but functional. Lila connected the crystal to the main console, her hands moving quickly but carefully. Cole stood guard, his eyes scanning the horizon. The transmission began, sending the data across the frontier. Lights flickered on the distant plains as settlers received the information. Evidence of the experiments, the drones, and the enforcers spread like wildfire. Communities that had been isolated began to organize, preparing to resist the station's influence. Lila watched the screens, a sense of relief washing over her. For the first time, she felt that her suffering had meaning. Her escape, her fear, her courage, all of it had led to this moment. Cole placed a hand on her shoulder. "You did it," he said. "You protected the truth. You're no longer running from it. You're controlling it." Lila smiled, tears glinting in her eyes. I couldn't have done it without you." Cole shook his head. "No. I just helped you survive. You're the brave one." The plains were quiet again, bathed in the soft light of dawn. The drones had been temporarily disabled, the enforcer incapacitated, and the settlers now aware of the danger. For the first time in a long while, there was a sense of peace in the air, but more importantly, Lila felt a weight lift from her shoulders. She had been ashamed, afraid, and alone. Now she had courage, allies, and a purpose. Cole looked at the horizon. "The frontier will always be dangerous," he said. "But with the truth on our side, we can make it safer. You're part of that now. Then we keep going. We protect the plains, and we make sure this never happens again. That's the spirit. The frontier is big and it's wild, but together we can face anything it throws at us." The twin moons rose high in the sky, casting long shadows over the plains. Cole and Lila mounted their mechanical horses once more, riding toward the distant settlements. The horizon was bright with the promise of a new day. The plains were still dangerous, still full of secrets, but for the first time they had hope. And as they rode side by side, the rancher and the girl who had once been afraid both knew that Redstone Plains had changed them. They had faced danger, deception, and the unknown, and they had survived. Together. The frontier stretched endlessly before them, a land of opportunity, courage, and truth. And Cole Wyatt and Lila understood that, no matter what came next, they would face it together, stronger, wiser, and ready for whatever challenges awaited in the vast, untamed plains. The sun began to rise over the distant mountains, painting the sky in gold and crimson. It was a new day, and the frontier, wild and untamed, waited for them.